I'm going to call the meeting to order. The Easton Housing Authority's regular meeting for December 2023. Roll call, Commissioner Tebow.
Here.
Commissioner Chris Sheedy.
Here.
Commissioner Burrows.
Here.
And Commissioner Dennis Sheedy is here. Agenda item number 1, public hearing for approval of the fiscal year 2025 annual plan and capital improvement plan. So Kathy, the comment period's been open for, is it 90 days?
Over 45 days.
45 days.
Yeah, it was posted October 4th, which was longer than the 45 days, so
Any comments?
nothing came in, no comments.
That said, does anybody in the audience have any comments on the the annual plan and the capital improvement plan? Barbara?
Just one thing, they were probably posted everywhere on the table and everything, but it wasn't mentioned. I didn't know that it was there for our perusal.
Yeah.
So,
All we could do is post it. It is on the website. It has been at Elise and Parker.
yeah, but it's like
I make
every
a
other
comment?
notice. If we don't
talked
be
about
told
it.
there's a notice for such and such,
We've discussed this at this
I
meeting
know.
several times, and you've made comment on it several times, and I think you spoke to Joe. Is Joe here?
Yeah.
I think you spoke to Joe about one item, and I think that Commissioner Burrows has spoke about it several times. Is that correct, Joe?
From my memory, that was the last time I was here was last year at this meeting.
Your concern was on the sidewalks, correct? About the capital plan, asking if the sidewalks could get moved up? Okay.
Is that the question?
Yes, yes.
Anyone here see that posting?
It's an 84-page document that's been out there. It's been in both community rooms. It has been stolen from the authority multiple times, and we keep putting it out there. It's on the website. It's posted on the Department of Housing site.
Just an ongoing problem. that's all.
One is best to know what they're looking for.
Okay.
So there's something out there that
Hearing no other comments, I would be open to a
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2025 annual plan and capital improvement plan.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Chris Sheedy, a second by Commissioner Burrows. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Agenda item number 2, the November warrant in the amount of $232,634.09.
I'll make a motion, we approve the warrant for November 2023 in the amount of $232,634.09.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burrows, a second by Commissioner Chris Sheedy. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Agenda item number 3, the October 2023 financial statements. I would entertain a motion to accept and put on file.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Burrows, a second by Commissioner Chris Sheedy. Kathy, anything you'd like to point out?
No, we're still holding our own. Reserves are at 99.9%. We will be buying more refrigerators soon, so just, we've gone through a lot this year.
Didn't you want the reserves spent down a little?
Yeah, so, yeah. And they're climbing again because rents are up.
Any other questions or concerns regarding the October 2023 financial statements? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Agenda item number 4, certificate of final completion for fish number 088076 fire alarm system upgrade.
I will make a motion that we accept the certificate of final completion for project number 088076 in the amount of $36,343.16.
Second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Chris Anschidi, a second by Commissioner Burrows. Any discussion regarding the certificate of final completion?
Anything outstanding?
No, nothing outstanding. Actually, we did have a faulty detector out here. They actually came out and replaced it today.
And from this day on, they have a 9-month warranty?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Or is it a year from now and then there's a 9-month check?
9-month check.
9-month inspection
Yeah.
after from the date of substantial completion. 9 months after that, there's a warranty check to make sure everything that may come up is caught at 9 months and repaired before the end of the 1-year warranty period.
Excellent.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Agenda item number 5, update current snow winter policy.
The first policy is the original one that was adopted by the board in October of 2018. And on the draft, the second document, I've just highlighted the things that we added or changed. For instance, now we have the generator in the community room at least circled that we did not before. We want to be sure that residents know not to approach the guys when they're in equipment in the heat of the storm. It's happened several times and it's dangerous for the resident in particular, but also the guys. That's why we try to be pretty certain as to how to proceed with the storms. And then typically what we've done is we send out a robocall depending on the storm, indicating, you know, now that the guys have cleared all the emergency areas that need to be done, that they'll be doing car parking spots for the next few hours or whatnot, depending on the time of day of the storm.
What's the reason for going generally begins, because generally is a very vague term, from 1 inch to 3 inch?
1 inch, there's no need for the guys to come out to plow. That usually typically melts. And I think just basic code is 3
Well,
inches.
if it's cold, we would never allow that to happen.
What do you mean?
In
For the plow?
January, no,
Oh, no,
January
they'd be
1
out
inch,
salting
yeah.
and snowing.
Yeah.
But we'll sometimes get calls saying, it's snowing.
Yeah, okay. We're responsible to get the, and Dan knows this, we're responsible to get down to pavement and dry within 24 hours.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that this doesn't go against that. And obviously, because we deal with a population that has many mobility issues, we want to make sure that's done.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys have always done a great job in that.
But I don't, what does this, what's the catalyst for it being changed? I just don't know why it's being changed.
And talking to maintenance, they thought it was a better idea to call, because we'll get a call sometimes in the middle of the night that it's snowing out and there's an inch on the ground. Typically, they're not gonna
Yeah.
come out and plow for an inch.
This wouldn't force them to do it, you're still gonna get that call. I'm just,
Yep.
I mean, I get those calls too. I get the calls in the middle of a blizzard,
Mhm.
look it, the roads aren't clear.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that happens, I understand that, I just don't
Right,
understand why
but
we're.
generally, I
Yeah.
mean, typically the guys are here.
Yeah. I just wanna make sure, and I will put it on record, that we, as the housing authority, are responsible for snow removal and having it down in a dry and safe way. And I'm not telling you, Dan, anything you don't know, but I want everybody to know that.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
policy is to make sure that we do that and everybody's safe.
Yeah, I have a little concern with the 3 inches as well.
We can leave it at the 1 if you so choose.
I just think in terms of you know, at the moment, you get a staff that knows the drill and knows when to be here and when not to be here. But the issue could always come is if there was something and somebody pulls this policy and says, well, you technically don't have anybody in here until 3 inches, so. I'd say leave it at 1.
Okay,
Is
Absolutely.
that's my,
Yep,
well, that's my recommendation.
absolutely.
That's up to the board to agree.
I would agree with that, and I would second it. And again, I agree with your thought process. We always adopt policies assuming the worst. So, you know, I always think of finance, right? Your finance policies are all thinking that someone might try to steal. So you have double things set up. Not that anybody would, but in case they do. And, you know, when you have, Dan, I want you to know, because you're usually not here, that we keep hearing how good you and your crew are over and over and over.
That's what we like to hear.
From Kathy and from the residents. So I don't want you to think it has anything to do with you. But Dan, if you retire, you move on, and the next guy says, I'm not coming out till there's 3 inches, and I don't care what Kathy says.
I can change the policy, you can.
But I would support that.
I agree.
So I would entertain a motion that we.
I had a couple other things.
Okay, sorry. Well, we should make a motion in second before we discuss it, but.
Oh, all right. I didn't realize we hadn't done that, sorry. So I will motion that we are going to approve a snow policy for 2023, 24.
23, 24, going forward.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Chrissy Sheedy, a second by Commissioner Burrows. And your concerns?
Yeah, just in the very last line where the authority has the ability to provide power to the community room at Parker and Elise. I think next to community rooms, it should say only, right? Very clear.
Yep.
That's, and I didn't know if it was full power or for how long that power lasts, and I didn't know if you need to give any of those details.
It is full power here, not full power at Elise.
Full power.
It is full power at Elise with that generator? They can run the washers and dryers?
They can, but they're gonna use a lot of
Okay.
fuel.
Yeah. It depends on the duration, how long the generators are on and how much fuel they
'Cause-
burn through.
All right, so they're diesel powered, and so they only go until you
Diesel,
run out
we
of.
have propane. That-
Yeah.
Okay. But they are both full power.
Yes.
Okay. And then I thought a paragraph that once again fully explains the fact that we do not power with generators the apartments. I think that really needs to be highlighted because I have seen it become an issue.
Okay.
So I think people really need to know that that is not available and that they might need to be making alternative temporary living arrangements with family or friends or a shelter.
Well, we are a shelter site here and we do have cots. We've worked that out with the town already. We have 50 cots.
I believe so, yeah.
So this community room is a shelter site. Yes, that being said, absolutely. Do you want it at the very bottom? in
I just
bold?
think it needs to be stated somewhere
Okay.
very clearly
Yep.
that the apartments are not powered.
It would
if
make
there's a
sense
power
to do
outage.
it right under the
Yeah.
community room. Okay.
And just one other thing, Dan, you had said that they could use the washer and dryers. I would hate to see us run out of fuel on a long-term, something that happened right down here on the street and that's a last hookup because people were doing drying.
We do have posted signs at each washer and dryer site saying in the event of a power outage, please refrain from using the washers and dryers.
Okay,
The generators can't handle it, but like I said, it would just chug fuel.
right. And I don't know if you've had it here, I've been in many of these community rooms during a long duration cold storm, and this is really an oasis. It is, it's beautiful. People come, they get together, they share, they bring food. Boy, would I hate to see in the middle of that, it go out because we were doing our laundry.
Yeah, I don't know if refrain's strong enough.
Yeah, I just did, maybe even, whatever we can do. Can you monitor the amount of fuel we have left?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And do you have somebody that delivers?
I just think of worst case scenario. It just, again, these places are, we have, the way I work, community rooms that have generators and communities rooms that don't. And you think you've gone from one country to another. It's a big, big, big difference. Mr. Sheedy, would you agree with that?
I would.
So just anything we can do to keep it
We have
lights
in-
on and warm.
yeah, in the past, I know one of that bad storm we had and the generator ran out of fuel and we couldn't get, fire department has portable generators, they came out
They
and
came
hooked
out,
up
yeah,
to this,
yeah.
so we're on their radar
Yeah.
as well. And we have a fairly good relationship with the fire department, especially with the emergency crews when it comes to the housing authority.
Excellent.
So it can, is there a transfer switch here?
Nope, totally automatic,
Totally automatic.
both sites.
But can the fire department's generator come in and take over if need be?
On this site,
Yes.
On this one only,
yes.
not a lease?
No.
So, we have some corrections to make. Do we want to stay with the original for a month and bring us back the corrected version, or take a vote with the corrections?
I would like to take a vote just in case we do get snow, truthfully. I will change that back to the 1 inch.
Mhm.
And then I will add the only to the generator rooms. And at the very bottom, I will say, we do not have generator power to the units.
May I ask a question? My husband's on oxygen, right? So, oh no, he can't, he's not on the portable one anymore, it's only for sleeping at night. So I was wondering, I've seen that the fire department sometimes will take a portable oxygen, whatever you call it, generator over to apartments. And
We
will
have
they
that
still be
worked out
allowed
with
to?
That's up to them. That depends on what they have at that time. You know, they only have so many generators.
Right.
We do have somebody in critical need here that would need that, and they're totally aware of that
Yeah.
situation. That being said, a lot of these oxygen companies have battery backup type things that you can have in your units.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh, it's good to know. He used to-
Like you'll see people walking around with the oxygen, and it's on a
He
battery
used to.
powered. Yeah,
Right, but he doesn't have that anymore, he just has the concentrator,
yeah.
The
If
big
you
one.
ever have an issue, you call the fire department.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely. You're welcome.
And I did actually want to slide one other thing in, where it says approach maintenance staff or vehicles. They should not go anywhere near any of the vehicles or any of the equipment. Because when you're plowing, you cannot see a thing. And then suddenly somebody walks right up and you're not even aware they're there.
Ever have that happen, Dan?
Many times.
Yeah, it's
And
very
they-
dangerous.
Right behind you, like this.
And they want their space cleared.
At that
Can
moment,
I
yep.
do vehicles and equipment? Even
Yeah.
the snow blowers or the tractors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should stay far
Okay.
away and clear from those items.
We usually send out robocalls too before the storms announcing that.
Yeah.
And we've just updated all the phone numbers.
Excellent.
Everybody get a copy of this?
Hmm?
Okay,
They will, they've had it in the past, but,
but the new one, yeah.
yep.
Are we happy with the new policy with the corrections?
Yes, I am.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who seconded? Chris made a motion, I didn't get a second.
Dawn.
Dawn, I
Aye.
didn't hear you, okay, thank you. Okay.
All opposed? That is unanimous. All right, agenda item number 6. Deborah Clark Lancaster has some issues she'd like to discuss with us. I will say before we start, Ms. Lancaster, that we're going to stick to the items on the agenda. We're not allowed to go off course and have a big, long discussion about many, many things, so.
I
don't intend to discuss anything except what's on the agenda.
Alrighty,
And for
so,
those of you who don't know me, I'm Deborah Clark Lancaster, and I'm Dorothy Clark's daughter. My mother moved here 8 years ago. She's now 93. She has moderate dementia and failing health. Back on November 9th, Xfinity was working in the area, and many residents here in Parker Terrace lost their phone, their TV service, and their Wi-Fi. For my mother, it was just the telephone, okay? I'm the first to admit that TV is not a priority, okay? But having phone access is, especially for somebody who lives alone. I had to switch alarm companies because the phone outlet in my mother's bedroom does not work. I paid to have an electrician to come in and fix it, and they told me it was the wiring in the building. So I had to go with an alarm company that didn't depend on the phone. But there are many other residents that have life alarms that are attached to their phone. No phone, no life alarm. So what I'm hoping is that the commission will consider allowing residents to call into the emergency number if they're without a telephone,
by all means.
okay? That's number one. My mother was without a phone for 6 days. And that to me is just unacceptable. It's not the fault of the commission, it's not the fault of the Easton Housing Authority, okay? It's the fault of not having access to the basement where the utilities are, okay? When the man came on Sunday, when the technician came on Sunday, he couldn't get into the room, so he couldn't fix it. They tried to do it remotely. I spent hours on the phone. Long story short, I'm just hoping that you have a policy that allows residents to be able to have somebody come in and open up access to the basement so that technicians can get in. For phone. I'm not asking for TVs, I'm not asking for Wi-Fi. That's not an emergency, but phones are.
Kathy, would you like to address that?
Absolutely. We agree with you. The wiring in the buildings, the wires to the phones are not ours. They're either Verizon's or Xfinity's. For them to indicate that it's our wiring, they would be wrong. Secondly, we were totally unaware of this situation. Had anybody called us and said they're coming out on Sunday, my mother's been without a phone, maintenance would have responded. They are on call 24/7. Always have been, always will be.
Well, my mother was not aware of that, and I certainly wasn't aware of that,
Well,
but I am now.
Okay, but every resident is aware. They all receive handbooks when we lease up.
8 years ago, my mother could remember. My mother doesn't remember right now.
Okay,
Okay.
I can't help you with that,
I know,
unfortunately,
I know,
but,
I know.
I mean, there's always somebody on call.
Yeah.
They're
But
here in the middle of the night if they have to
I came over
be.
here, and, you know, there were many residents who had similar issues.
And we were unaware. If they don't tell us, we don't know. And truthfully, there was nothing we could have done about the situation until Comcast came out to fix it.
Yeah, but
to get into the room.
They couldn't fix it because there wasn't access to the room, and I didn't know that that was considered an emergency and that we could have called. I did not
Yeah.
know that. My mother did not know that.
Right, but prior to that, you said it went out 4 days before that. There's nothing we could have done about that situation. You know what I'm saying? You said that it went out on a Thursday
It went out
and they
on
couldn't come
Thursday.
out till Sunday.
No. I called starting on Thursday. They tried to fix it remotely.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I couldn't, yeah.
All right, you have to go through a queue, it
Mhm.
takes hours, et cetera, et cetera. We finally got a technician to come out on Sunday. There wasn't anything available before that because so many people in the Easton area were affected by some work that Xfinity was doing. I understand this has happened before a few times. Okay.
But I do want to answer your question. You asked, at least on the agenda, access to basement utilities, and the answer is yes. Now, it will be escorted access. It would be by Dan or
Oh, no,
whoever's
no,
on there.
I understand that.
But we would need to know about it. So yes, absolutely. If there's this happens, at the gas company, it happens on a regular basis. So, I hate to say it, I don't know if it was an Xfinity employee or a contractor. Contractors are much less likely to communicate with us.
It was an
let-
Xfinity.
It was?
technician.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
He should know that you call the owner when you're going to an apartment complex.
Well, like I said,
Yeah.
I
So,
wanted to bring it up.
given your mother's situation, I understand why she wouldn't remember and you're not familiar with it, but the technician coming in should understand. I call the owner. I'm working on the owner's property. I call the owner to get in. And so, it might be something that, and Xfinity is such a big conglomerate. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't call the local. Can you call the cable people? But we would absolutely want to get in and allow access to address that issue.
Second item, I know that the commission must be aware that there is a problem, access washers and dryers, because there are so many residents and so few washers and dryers, and sometimes they're not working, okay? And I hope that the commission will think about the possibility of increasing the number of washers and dryers so that people don't have to spend money, okay, to send their laundry out. Now, I know there are some people that are eligible for free or subsidized laundry, but my mother was not in that position. And over the course of the last few months, I have been very ill myself and was not able to do her laundry as I had done. So I had to hire somebody, and then they couldn't use the washers and dryers here because they were always full. And I understand from talking with Old Colony and with Abbott Home Care that this has been a problem for a long time with a lot of the homemakers who come later in the day. I've heard stories, and I won't mention any names, that some people come here at 2 o'clock in the morning with their laundry so that they can get it. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the commission. And finally, the third thing is grocery carts. Now, I know that the grocery carts that are in this complex do not belong to the commission and the housing authority. I'm completely aware of that. Therefore, the housing authority doesn't police them, okay? There's a problem. And the problem is that sometimes people take them and hide them behind buildings. They also put them in their little foyers, for hours at a time. Now, for 3 months, I was on a walker due to some health problems. Now, I can't park out here because they threatened to tow me. I have a handicap placard. I would have to get parking back here in the visitor's lot. I would have to hunt down a shopping carriage to bring in my mother's groceries or laundry or whatever I was bringing. Now, I understand you don't own the grocery carts, you can't police them. I am recommending that the Easton Housing Authority purchase some of these grocery carts so that you can have a say over their usage and people taking advantage. I actually had a resident yell out her window at me when I took her carriage and told me that I damn well better bring it back. Well, I won't tell you what my response to her, but it wasn't Merry Christmas, okay? I'm gonna buy a grocery cart for my mother. There's a place in Woburn that sells them reconditioned for $150. I'm gonna get a lock, okay, so that nobody else can use it, and I'll keep it in my mother's foyer. But I'm sure somebody will try and steal it. Just like when my husband brought rock salt and we brought a 5-gallon container to put it in, somebody stole the container. So I really think many elderly complexes and condos have these for the convenience of their residents, for bringing in groceries, bringing in laundry. You know, you've got elderly people here, all right? And using one of those small grocery carts. I mean, I'm buying 6, 7 bags of groceries for my mother for a couple of weeks. I need a shopping cart. When I'm bringing back 2 baskets of clothes, I need something, you know? And I'm 71 years old, you know, I'm not one of these young homemakers. So those are the 3 things that I wanted to discuss, and I hope that you will purchase some of these carts, get rid of these other ones, okay? And make a policy that says, if you use it, you've got to return it. They can't be kept behind buildings, they can't be put in the
Those
hallway.
people don't care. I
There you go.
live near one.
Well, I'm just saying, if the housing authority owns the carts, then they can have control over them.
To a degree.
If I may, I think the fire department would give us a problem with stuff in the
The
in the
foyer.
foyers. I mean, you can't, you know, we're not allowed to keep stuff out there. So where would you store those carts?
That people leave everything out in the foyers.
But yeah,
There are
it's,
grocery carts, there are
Yes, there are.
all sorts of items in the foyers, all right? That's not an egress issue. I'm familiar with egress issues. I used to be a police officer,
Well,
okay?
then,
And there's plenty of egress to get in and out of the first floor in that foyer area. People leave all sorts of equipment there.
I beg to differ. The fire department comes down here twice a year, I believe, and they inspect those corridors and they demand that Dan could probably speak to that, you know.
One of the major
There's one
issues
in
that the
my
fire
file.
department has is, if the building is full of smoke, and this is the example they give us, because we ask them their opinion, if there is smoke and somebody's feeling around because they can't see, even so much as a picture on a wall could cause somebody putting their hand on it to slip and fall. They do not want things, and it's not even an egress issue, it's anything that could possibly trigger, especially in an elderly housing complex, somebody to fall, that they didn't remember was there, shouldn't be there, somebody placed there.
Well,
We do the best we can
I-
to police that,
I
but
can't address that issue, okay? I'll buy the cart and keep it in my mother's apartment if I have to.
That's what
I will solve
that's
my
what I'm
problem.
Gonna have to do.
But that doesn't solve the problem for the residents that live here, okay? So,
There's some people over in my area that hoard those grocery carts.
walking over here, we saw 2 of them.
2 down there and then 1 in my entryway. She keeps it there all the time. She drags them up and down the stairs.
That should be reported to the office so that they can deal with that. They shouldn't be dragging things up and down the stairs. They really shouldn't be parked in front of doorways, in front
When I
of,
first moved in a year ago, it made so much noise several times.
yeah.
I'd run out thinking somebody had fallen down
Oh,
the
down,
stairs,
sure.
because I'm right at the bottom of the stairs. And all she does is get mad at me.
And it's a whole grocery cart, she can get a grocery cart up the stairs? The whole, like a shopping carriage.
From the grocery store.
No, you
I don't
couldn't.
even know where they come from, truthfully.
I
We
was
don't
just
even have
gonna
any
ask, do we
grocery.
know the origin of those cats?
Do I know them? No, I
do
don't.
we? Do-
they're
do
all
you?
marked.
One of them's from Bradley's.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're all marked with defunct places.
But I don't know where they came, where they came from, how they
People
got
stole
here.
them.
Well, there's one right inside
People brought
my,
them here.
my entry hall, whatever you call that little thing,
The foyer.
that she stores in there.
Where's that one from?
I don't think there's even a marking.
You don't think
lids.
there's any marking on it?
But then, but it has red trim.
Yeah.
But they come in different colors. And then you go out my door and down at the end of the building, there's usually at least 2 or 3 piled at the end of the sidewalk down there.
So I have 2 questions, if I could, for you, Ms. Lancaster. No, one for Dan and you, Kathy. Do we have capacity to increase the washer and dryer? Do we have room?
That would be a capital improvement project. We are maxed out at electrical and plumbing.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if there was extra room in
Yeah,
the
we
room.
have 4 washers, 4 dryers, 4 washers. We increased it up at Elite Circle.
Mhm.
And by doing that, we did the stackables, but they're complaining that they can't reach the stackables, so that wasn't beneficial.
Yeah, okay.
That's the only possible way I think we could, is to do a stackable.
And then the next question is, Ms. Lancaster, you said there are apartment complexes that have grocery carts for their people.
For their residents.
If you could share any examples, because I'm not familiar with it, I can't picture how it would work and how it would solve any of the issues that you're speaking about.
Well, no. I'm talking about regular grocery carts like at the grocery store.
Yeah,
Okay,
me too.
you can purchase them. They cost anywhere from
I
$300.
understand we can purchase them, I understand we can have them here, but you said,
Okay.
I want to see how the system would work somewhere.
Okay, they're, at Linda Pond's, the assisted living, they have them, okay? And they keep them in the parking areas, very similar to, when you go to the grocery store and you return the carriage at the end, okay? And residents are warned, that if they use it, they have to return it.
Well, when I first moved in a year ago,
Mm-hmm,
they used to return them right out here in the
Yeah.
parking lot.
mm-hmm.
But now they leave them all over.
Yeah,
Don't they?
whenever I use one, I always return it. Like I said, I can solve my mother's problem, because it's my problem. Because my mother doesn't shop anymore, okay? I do all the grocery shopping. I can solve that problem, and if you say that it can't be kept in the foyer, okay? I'll keep it in her apartment. It's easy peasy, but that doesn't solve the problem for the rest of the people that live here, okay? And I think that the housing authority should do something and purchase some carriages that they have control over. Because when I've complained, I've been told they don't belong to the housing authority, we don't have anything to do with them.
Well, I would disagree with that. They don't belong to the housing authority. We can certainly throw them in the back of the truck and bring them to a dump. We could put them some other place, that's the control we would have. I mean, the Linden Ponds I'm not familiar with. I know that.
It's an assisted living.
No, I'm familiar with this system, I'm sorry. I know what Linden Ponds is. I don't know if it would work here. But I do know that if someone took a grocery cart and they left it behind their unit, that there's practically nothing the housing authority could do about that, even if we owned it.
If you own it, you can make a policy.
And
that
so the
says-
person says,
And then you do something about it.
what would you profess we do?
You give them a warning.
And what happens
okay?
after that?
And then after that, you tell them they can't use it. They can't use them anymore. Put them on the do not use list. I mean, you've got to have some measure of control.
And who
I
would
mean-
police that?
Yeah.
That's what you have management staff here for.
Not the police carriages.
It's not about the carriages, it's the convenience for the residents,
I
okay?
understand.
That's what we're talking about here.
I certainly will take a look at Linden Ponds and see what they do, and see if, a system for our residents can work. I was throwing it out there, you were making suggestions. To say the housing authority has authority, we have authority to enforce a lease. And the lease means that if a person doesn't comply, we can bring them to court. If we ever go to court because a person didn't return a carriage, we will be thrown out of that court. They will say, don't you understand what your mission is? Your mission is to provide housing for people. Carriages, housing. And so that's why I'm saying, I'm having a very frank
So
discussion.
if-
If you were around the table with my staff, I would be asking you these questions. How are you going to do this? Because I don't know.
What would the housing authority do if one of the residents got into one of your snow plows and started plowing?
That would be a crime. We'd commit them, we'd call the
What
police.
crime would it be?
It would be stealing a vehicle.
No, they're not stealing, they're using it to clear out their parking space.
They took control of my vehicle, it's theft. You say you were a police officer,
That's not
I'm
theft.
glad you're not the police officer that responded to that call.
That's not theft, okay? You have to be willing to permanently take away, all right?
So a
If
joyride isn't a theft?
somebody-
I'm sorry.
We don't have the ability to do what you're asking us to do. I'm just gonna be quite frank about this.
Well, like I say,
We
I'll
don't.
solve the problem. I'll
That's
buy a
fine.
car and
You, that's your right to do
Why don't you just buy a
that.
small carriage and make
Because-
2 trips?
Because I'm too damn old, that's why, and I've had health issues. I was on a walker, I had 2 hip replacements.
Okay,
And I
okay,
can't
all
drive.
All right,
that's.
all right, let's focus on up here,
This
okay?
was a waste of time. I'm out of here. I expected better, but I'm not surprised.
I think this board was very nice to you and listening to your concerns, and they did take it under advisement, and I think
Thank
that
you.
was not polite of you to say to them.
Good night.
All
Happy
right.
holidays.
Moving on, executive director's report.
I'm happy to report, we have, what, 2 finished units that will be leased next week, and then there's one on the horizon, possibly, maybe not. And that is it for vacant units.
That's quite a, yeah.
Bravo,
Part-time
good job.
staff, the new system that the department, I will give them a little kudos there when they managed
wait,
to bring.
don't go there.
Well, yeah, when they managed to bring resident preference to the top of our list, that
I
was
know.
beneficial. They actually listened and it paid off, and we're very excited about this.
And that
Because
is
it's
our mission.
Thank you, yep.
It's our mission to
Yep.
house people.
Yep, so I just had to put that out there first. And also the ARPA funding for the windows and siding. That was a long process as well. Apparently, the department did find funds through sustainability to pay for all the windows at the Parker Terrace siding and window replacement project. So now they will fund the windows, and hopefully we will be able to get more buildings sided with the difference.
It's always interesting how they find money.
I don't understand the thought process. You already had the money.
They were not new windows, they were replacement windows. They want new windows and an airtight barrier.
Okay, if they're willing to pay for it, I just don't understand them.
I don't either. This was, I went back and forth for almost 2 months on this, and we did our due diligence, and we looked into replacing the windows, and,
What does lean stand for?
oh, I don't even remember. I know we dealt with
Low
action.
Low income energy efficient assistance or something?
It was action. We were all lined up to go, signed an NTP, and then they had a phone call without me, and they canceled it. And they've yet to return a phone call, any of them. I've had them into multiple people there to call me back. I did get from Greg Abbey, the energy guy, that they are going to fund the windows with sustainability, and I wrote back, because of the confusion, and I wrote back, you are funding 100% of the cost of these windows? He says, yes, we are, and that's it. Now, what that means exactly, I'm still not 100% sure.
You printed out that email,
I
I hope.
have that email, don't you worry. I can forward it if you would like. But they are going to fund it because they're concerned with the airtight barrier when they do the siding, and the fact that the new windows will fit up better than a replacement window will.
Okay.
I just seeing what it stood for.
It's a government, it's the, yeah.
No, I know,
it's-
I thought it was all about saving energy.
Mhm.
But apparently one state program doesn't meet what the other state program wants. That's all I was thinking. That was the oddity. I think they would reconcile that difference.
They were adamant that,
No? Okay.
So,
That's what
so
they
where is the
wanted.
process now? Where are we with the process?
they're
Is it-
still in design.
They're in design.
They're in design, they're late submittals on their CDs, their architect is overwhelmed. Him and the DHCD architect keep going back and forth. Once they approve it all, we should be able to go out to bid towards the end of January, is
Yeah,
what they're indicating now.
I tend to doubt that date.
I
Why would
agree.
you think that way, Don?
You're getting jaded. That
I see you, Barbara. I see you.
So,
One minute, we're getting there. We're just gonna finish this and we'll get to questions and concerns. That's your
I
turn.
thought that was
No,
And Pam Whittup on the back of
Yeah.
the report sent a very
Yeah.
nice thank you.
very
for-
nice of
Very
her.
nice.
Yeah. She will be missed for sure.
Anything else for the executive director's report? If not, I would accept a motion to accept and put on file.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Christine Sheedy, a second by Commissioner Burrows. I almost said Widow. Sorry, Tom. I get a name in my head, it takes a while.
I answer to anything.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That is unanimous. Agenda item number 8, questions and concerns. Now I got you, Barbara.
Barbara now.
Glad to see so many people here.
There you go.
Ask more people to come.
Yep, they must have read the notice.
One of the things is regarding her, I don't know how far she has to walk from the parking space near her, the apartment, to the apartment. When I first moved here, Dawn told us that I don't have a parking space, I don't have a car. But when my daughter takes me shopping or drops me, she pulls in front of my apartment, walks me into the house, makes sure I'm all settled, and then she can leave. Or she's there for like 5 or 10 minutes waiting for me to put a coat on or something. I have another daughter that wouldn't dare park up near my house because so many people are sitting in their windows ready to call Dawn in the office to tell her that somebody's taken their parking spot and I'm gonna send a letter. Dawn must be overwhelmed with letters that you get from people complaining about people in their parking space while their car is sitting there.
If-
They watch all the other parking spaces, you know what I'm saying?
Yep, and I'm
But
sure,
anyway, for me and my family, they pull up in front of my house, bring me in whatever packages, and then they leave. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I was told it was okay. My other daughter drops me at the drop-off center and we walk up to their house, which is also okay. Until I can't walk anymore, then I'll be yelling with probably like she is.
I haven't heard the
I'm, Barbara, if I may, I'm sure that there's a lot of live parking, as it would be called, and that would be acceptable to
But a
the
lot of
authority.
the
It's when
workers-
5 minutes goes to a half hour, then it gets
A
to
lot of
be,
the workers come in and park.
yeah, but that's not live parking. If the-
Yeah, I know. The other thing is, has anyone investigated or questioned or asked about the paving?
Yeah,
We talk about it every meeting.
I know, and it was approved,
Right.
It's,
Years ago.
it's approved for next year.
that's wonderful.
That's when it's coming to do, so until then, nothing's really gonna happen.
Yeah.
What's Barbara's last name?
And
Pam.
that's all, I guess. If we have a problem with any personnel, we go to,
The-
uh,
The executive director.
the executive director or Dawn, Dan, right?
Dawn's not the executive director.
I know, but sometimes it's nothing to do really with her.
You're saying personnel?
I'm sorry,
Did you say personnel?
personnel,
Then you need to go,
Personal.
oh, personal, okay, not personnel, okay.
yeah. Sometimes it's personnel, but it's a combination of both, I think, with some people. It's-
You can go to Dawn if you're comfortable, or you can come to me.
Right,
Either one of us.
okay. That's all I think anybody asked me to ask about.
Very good. Any other questions or concerns?
I apologize for speaking up over the small carriage.
Don't worry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's your right.
Don't apologize.
So with that said, before we set our next meeting and adjourn, I would like to wish everybody a very merry, well, happy holidays, I guess will be politically correct.
Merry holiday?
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, celebrate whatever you celebrate.
Happy
And more.
Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa.
And we'll see you all next year, and I'm looking at January 9th.
They're all almost
The worst, I hate the January 9th meeting. Because it's the darkest, it's the coldest.
Actually, it's turning around. The light will be turning around January
Not by
9th.
much. It'll be colder.
It will be colder, that it will.
Hope there aren't 3 inches of snow. We won't get in the place.
I'll make a
All right,
motion
come
to
on.
adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tebow, a second by Commissioner Chris Sheedy. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous.
What's that?
You got a new envelope, because you doodled all over it last week.
That's why we got new ones.
I doodled all over my agenda tonight instead of the envelope.
Thank you for coming, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
I hope you will come the next.
It's tough, you're now getting into January meetings, I might not come.
Me too.
But yes,